Joining Dereck and me on stage, we're going to have Simit Naik, who is from nChain, and Muhammad Salman Anjum, who you heard from earlier today, but he's going to talk a bit more detail about his InvoiceMate project. Please give them a round of applause. Okay, Dereck, while we have you up here, I need more microphones, please. Or I'll get them myself. Dereck, why don't you tell us about your involvement with another company, Wallex? If you want to know anything about blockchain, talk to this man.
Yeah, so Wallex is a company which has been established unofficially for several years, but has been launched secretly in the yacht club in Monaco last summer.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah, we were sitting even next to each other on stage.
Yes.
And what does it have? It goes the other way around. You see a lot of companies raising money and then go for licenses and go for building everything, right? We did it completely the other way around. We went immediately for the licenses. So we have OTC licenses, banking licenses, PSP licenses, trust licenses, and many, many, many more, right? So we went the other way around. And what is really important is that we have all this whole ecosystem and this whole infrastructure in many parts of the world, including US, Caribbean, Asia, and Europe, like Switzerland, for example. And that the thing is that we also created our own stablecoin.
Yes.
So
the first euro-denominated stablecoin.
It's called USD, Euro Stablecoin, which is fully backed by the dollar, and it is fully backed
by the US dollar.
Fully backed by US dollar, but fully backed.
Right.
Not
in funds in an actual bank account.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Your money.
Yes.
Yeah. That's right.
So, and then it's easier to trade to any other currencies, ranging from fiat to digital to whatever.
Yeah.
And because of we have all the licenses and everything is working and everything, it is an own ecosystem. So you create your own liquidity, your own pools, your own trading systems, your own custody, your own, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, knowing him and a lot of the other Wallex team, I'm very happy to see a company take legal compliance and regulatory licensing seriously when it comes to launching these types of digital assets and stablecoins, because there's been a lot of controversy over a lot of the stablecoins out there, such as Tether, for example, whether they're really fully backed or not. Let's go to Muhammad. Muhammad, tell us how InvoiceMate, you've talked earlier about, obviously, its invoice management system on blockchain. How are you turning this into a FinTech product, for example, to make the payment of invoices more efficient, including with telecom companies?
We have a very unique proposition of Know Your Invoice. Normally people are associated with the KYB, the Know Your Business and Know Your Customer services coming through the, again, FinTech services. But Know Your Invoicing is a very, very unique service required for the invoice financing institutions, like banks, like financial institutions. So they will get the due diligence of the invoicing done through the InvoiceMate, which is the unique proposition and has a right use case of blockchain. Again, people ask, there are plenty of e-invoicing softwares, so why there is a need of a B-invoicing or blockchain-based invoicing solution? So this is where a FinTech application of like a traditional financial services come in, and you can do the due diligence on the authenticity of invoice. It will not be under-invoiced or over-invoiced or fake or duplicate, which are all a part and parcel of the invoicing world. These are the inefficiencies and insecurities of invoicing, and especially the financial institutions deal with them on a regular basis. So Know Your Invoice bring a unique proposition for them to get this sorted in an efficient and trusted manner.
Simit, you in particular at nChain lead a lot of the initiatives with central banks, right, which are confronting the questions about how to deal with blockchain and digital assets. So tell us about some of the work and progress you've been making with central banks around the world with central bank digital currencies and e-money.
Sure. So when we think about central banks, the role they play is so vital in the economy. But central banks are facing a threat from private money. And when we talk about private money, it can be anything. and I apologize, but it could be stable coins, and it can be, initiatives like Facebook and
DM,
right?
which
and so,
is no more now. It's
which is
sold
no
off.
more, which is good. But the threat of private money is always going to be there, and it's only ever going to get, more threatening to central banks and the independence of central banks. But when you consider the role central banks play in certain parts of the world, especially in Africa, cash is the lifeline for a significant amount of people across Africa and Asia. And so there are other things that are kind of reducing the importance of cash. COVID-19, for example, kind of accelerated the decline in cash usage, especially in Europe. But again, in Africa, cash is still king and cash is still required. And so central banks are starting to think about, well, how can we use technology to create a digital form of cash that has all the benefits of cash today? So the ability for me to pay somebody else without an intermediary, maintaining privacy of myself and the transactions I make, but more importantly, being able to access and manage cash without having access to bank accounts. Because again, in a lot of the countries around the world, access to bank accounts is not a luxury many people can afford. And so what we're seeing is in Africa especially, CBDCs is becoming a real driver for providing their citizens with a digital form of cash that allows them to participate not only in the physical economy, but in the digital economy. And so we've been doing a lot of work with central banks, both in Europe and in Africa. The European central banks are more focused on how they can use CBDC primarily for wholesale payments. So how do you use CBDC for interbank clearing and settlement? How do you use it for cross-border payments and remittances? Whereas in Africa, we've seen a bigger push as a driver for providing their citizens with an access to a form of money that they can use to kind of live, to work, to buy goods and services. And so over the next 12 months, I foresee all central banks either starting to research CBDC projects or even start to pilot. And where we are at nChain is we have solutions for cash, so digital cash, so to be able to deploy retail CBDC. But we also have to consider the other form of money, which is what we in the Western world and in the Middle East normally interact with, which is the money that sits in accounts, deposit money, commercial money, kind of credit-backed money. And so we have solutions for that. So we can digitize, fiat currencies to provide a more efficient mechanism for digital payments. We can even start creating digitized commodities, gold, oil, cobalt, zinc, and then use that to kind of provide more stability into economies. And so we've kind of looked at how we can address different drivers and different challenges for the digitalization of money, and that's helped us drive two very distinct sets of solutions.
Other than the euro-denominated stablecoin, which is interesting because it's backed in US dollars, not actual euros, are there other fiat currencies that Wallex is exploring or thinking about turning into stablecoins?
Yes, we are. I'm not going to announce that here now, but we are absolutely, and it's going to be Asian-based country, and we are looking into that. Yes, I believe that it's very important, but I believe that it doesn't matter if it's a stable coin or a fiat or whatever it is, it always going to stay, right? And it all has to live together, same as different blockchains, same as different currencies. Doesn't matter if they're physical or digital, right? And I think that is the most important. And what he said, to bank the unbanked or there are all different solutions for everything, right? And that's why I think that creating more stable coins is also very important. Because if you look at certain Asian countries, they have the same problem they have in Africa. So I think that it's very important. And yes, absolutely, to answer your question, is absolutely yes. And it will be announced very soon.
Okay, exciting. Muhammad, tell us about thoughts you have about using wireless mobile devices to send invoices and get paid faster.
Yes, mobility now is the name of the game when it comes to the business, when it comes to the any operational activity. So you can do through the OCR and also get the added advantage from the AI about the errorless kind of assistance for the capturing of the invoices, and then you can send it according to the format that is required by the client or by the organization you are sending the invoice to. So you can use the mobility plus the AI plus the trusted layer of the blockchain all together as one combo to make it more efficient and trusted way to do the invoicing.
Okay. What other types of financial products and services do we think can be powered by blockchain? Anyone?
When we think about blockchain, we focus a lot on kind of the payments, but the data side also drives distinct advantages. When we think about KYC and AML, by embedding this data into transactions, you then introduce the concept of KYT, know your transaction. It facilitates easier onboarding into services. It facilitates easier cross-border payments, and that data becomes a significant driver for facilitating, faster payments. But then we can use blockchain to create identity, and identity is an overlay service that's required for certain types of products we want to build. And my colleague here talked about PalmFusion and the digital identity, and how his product kind of helps to build that. But that overlay is going to be significant. And we talk about foundational layers. We talk about data. We talk about payment.
Identity, critical.
Is going to be one of those functional layers that we're going to have.
Dereck?
Yeah, I think it's rather interesting also that we should not forget about the metaverse.
Okay, let's not forget about the metaverse. What are you doing?
Because the metaverse, I mean, you will need digital currency. You will need blockchain. There is no other option. There is options to do more, but you will need it. Because
You'll need some easy digital way to transact.
Yes.
Whether it's a coin or some token of some type.
Correct. Because otherwise, you are living in a digital world with your avatar, and you're running around your physical apartment in the metaverse, right? And then you need to pay. How are you going to pay? With cash? Impossible. How are you going to bring the cash into the metaverse? So you have to pay with the digital currency. And how it's going to be safe? Through the blockchain.
Right.
And trusted. So this is a really easy answer, and everybody knows that the metaverse is coming, if we want it or not. I don't like it in certain points, but I didn't like the internet in the beginning also in certain points, right? So, but we cannot live without it now.
That is true.
Just to add on this, remittances and the trade financing, again, on the blockchain, these are also two use cases for the FinTech.
Yeah, a remittance, I think, is a very key use case we need to underline. It's simple, easy to implement. There's, for example, a company in our ecosystem called CentB in South Africa, which actually qualified for a South African regulatory sandbox to launch a remittance product called Minute Money, which uses BSV as just the ledger, not to make remittance easier for, let's say, migrant workers, people moving to other countries in Africa, sending money back home to their family, instead of paying 6 to 8% of the remittance amount, which is very expensive, especially for people not sending, earning a lot of money and needing to send money back. They charge a flat amount because BSV is so efficient. They take a fee as well. They charge the equivalent of $3.25 US to send any amount of money through remittance. It settles immediately as opposed to waiting 5 to 7 days. And that makes it very efficient to send, let's say, 80 to 100 US dollars worth and up using BSV as the base ledger, not even really you don't even know you're dealing with coins or the blockchain. It's sort of the plumbing underneath. All right, we'll wrap up now. Any last thoughts that you can advise our audience about trends you see or things you suggest they explore with FinTech and blockchain? I'll start with Muhammad.
Yes, financial services and the government are the two areas where, of course, blockchain has the most implication. So if we are having some professionals, practitioners coming from the financial service background, it's now or never. Like there was a time when there was a discussion that blockchain will make the financial services institutions like dinosaurs, but not the case anymore. It's basically now there is a proper friendly relationship between the blockchain and the financial institutions, and around 70% of the overall financial institutions have explored blockchain, are using blockchain for some of their use cases. So rest of the 30% will also join the bandwagon in coming time. So all the practitioners coming here from the background of financial services will definitely suggest you to explore blockchain and implement some kind of a proof of work to take it, proof of concept to take it forward.
Simit.
So to kind of reiterate one of the points Jimmy made in his opening speech is think about blockchain as infrastructure. Think about payments, data integrity, digital identity as components of that infrastructure. And then put in place a strategy to figure out and understand how can you use these building blocks to deliver services, whether it's digital registry services to make citizens easier access to their own data, to facilitating payments between countries or government entities, or even as digital cash. If you think about it as infrastructure, it becomes easier to then think about exactly how can we utilize these different layers and frameworks to be able to then deliver solutions for metaverse or for government services or for regulatory reporting. And I think that's the best way of kind of looking at how we do it. And education and kind of strategic vision is key in being able to drive that.
All right, Dereck.
Just a few words. If we go, what is key? Trust, privacy, seamless, effective, efficient, everything. I can continue for 1 hour. Blockchain. That's it.
Great. Thank you very much to our panel. I hope you explore some interesting fintech uses.